Well, perhaps the honourable member heard some of the comments behind me that better wrap yourself in the Union Jack than the red flag. The right honourable gentleman chided us on interest rates. May I remind him that over the lifetime of the last... May I remind him that over the lifetime of the last Labour government, United Kingdom interest rates were on average 4% higher than United States rates. That has changed. A few weeks ago, our short-term interest rates were nearly 3% lower than comparable United States rates. Damaging industrial strikes have temporarily robbed us of this advantage. We shall seek to regain it. But if we follow the prescription of the right honourable gentleman for more public spending, not only would interest rates rise more sharply, but we should lose as well the prospect of reducing direct taxation and leaving people more of their own earnings to spend and save as they choose. The truth is that Labour's policies would take us a giant step towards a neutral Britain, increasingly under the shadow of Soviet military might. The leader of the Labour Party even talks about occupation. Occupation of Britain after winning 2 world wars without a... In 1936, only 3.5 million people paid income tax, and a married man did not begin to pay until he earned 1.5 times average wages. Now nearly 24 million people pay income tax, starting at less than half average wages, and if we followed the right honourable gentleman's prescriptions, a lot more would be paying a lot more higher income tax. That's what they said, Mr. Speaker, when I was negotiating for a better budget deal for Britain. Twice they and the people in the Commission and our people in the Commission, and we had the presidency of the Commission, advised me to give way. They found out different. It's not just a matter of taxes and incentives. It is about...
Order!
Oh, they daren't listen, Mr. Speaker. They can only shout because they have no arguments. By the way, I notice that the Labour opposition regard £20,000 a year as their definition of the rich to be soaked by higher taxes. We are well on course for the denationalisation of British Telecom and British Airways in the coming year. Most fundamental of all, 750,000 of families are buying their own council houses, a policy which Labour opposed the whole way. And those who are buying their own council houses are freeing themselves from the control of town halls. Indeed, owner occupation is at an all-time record. Mr. Speaker, Socialists oppose the widening of property ownership because it brings to every citizen a new independence and because it breaks down the old class divisions on which they thrive. So of course we are differing. Of course the chairman or the president of the Commission, Mr. Delors, said at press conference the other day that he wanted the European Parliament to be the democratic body of the community, he wanted the Commission to be the executive, and he wanted the Council of Ministers to be the Senate. No. No. Perhaps the Labour Party would give all those things up easily. Perhaps they would agree to a single currency, to total abolition of the pound sterling. Perhaps, being totally incompetent with monetary matters, they'd be only too delighted to hand over the full responsibility, as they did to the IMF, to a central bank. The fact is, they have no competence on money, no competence on the economy, so yes, the right honourable gentleman would be glad to hand it all over. Appears to be a laughing matter for honourable gentlemen. I thought they said good news for Britain was good news for the Labour Party. Yet when one says output is higher than ever before, they don't seem to like that it's been achieved by a Conservative government. Productivity at record levels. real personal disposable income to all our citizens higher than at any time under Labour. They haven't changed their socialist spots. They've just changed their suits. Mr. Chairman, all the reforms we have brought about, all the high reputation we have gained for our country, all of those things they fought against tooth and nail while they were going through Parliament. This marvellous achievement, this marvellous reputation would never have happened unless we Conservatives had been in power for the last 12 years. And particularly the trade union reforms. It wasn't the Labour Party who fought Scargill. It was we who fought Scargill day after day for a year through the miners' strike. The success of the long-term policies of which I've already spoken is vital if we are to tackle the fundamental causes of unemployment rather than the symptoms. But there are other steps. This year's budget saw the abolition of the national insurance surcharge, something we promised to complete this Parliament, but which we achieved in the first session. And the budget also saw the reconstruction of corporation tax. Now, taken together, Mr. Speaker, those two measures will greatly reduce the bias in favour of machinery and against the employment of people, a bias introduced by the last Labour government. Every time we've stood up and fought for Britain and British interests, the front bench opposite have carped and criticised and moaned. And on the central issues of Europe's future, they will not tell us where they stand. Do they want a single currency? The right honourable gentleman doesn't even know what it means or its consequences are threatened.
Order!
Absolute nonsense. It was appalling. So he says it's a hypothetical question. It's not going to be a hypothetical question, and someone has to go there and argue knowing what it means. Are they prepared?
Order!
Prepared to defend the rights of the United Kingdom Parliament? No, for all that the right honourable gentleman said.